Good evening. Welcome to the Sunday evening Shitalat Conversations 45th show. A show which witnesses the enormous affection and overwhelming response uh, from the followers and admirers, wonderful admirers of this program, especially the diaspora and the researchers and the keen seekers. We have tried to, take a lot of care and use very delicacy in creating these programs, these shows, with the deep honesty, purpose of honesty, and unraveling the unknown dimensions, and also the rejuvenating factors. We have utilized all these and through the anecdotal mode. These all shows are done in an anecdotal mode. The beautiful, gorgeous hues and the fragrant, fragrant breeze that definitely tries to ooze from the roots from which we all belong. So in a way, it's a call up the roots kind of a thing. So it has been overwhelmingly responded by all of you. So I'm very thankful to everyone for participating. Once again, gluing into this program, 45th illustrious Shitalat Conversation Show. Kashmir, the cradle and crown of Indian civilization, nestled in the lap of great Himalayas, is a land which is known for its gorgeous, torrents, rivulets, waterfalls, rivers, and the forests, Devdar forests, fir, willow, and walnut, almond, all kind of trees, and a very wide range of trees. And then this land is also, multicolored because of the wonderful species of flowers, maybe marigold, maybe Kashmiri rose, maybe narcissus, maybe the saffron, and violet, tulip, and many, numerous kind of varieties which we do have, which color it's entirely all the seasons. They come in different seasons, especially in springs. There's a great bloom of white color of almond on the almond trees, known as badam fly. So that's a very fascinating spectacle. And this is a land also which inherits a wonderful wildlife like hangul, musk deer, Himalayan tahar, and many other things which will unfold during this descent of this program. So this is a wonderful situation. Today we have with us a very, we are rather privileged to have with us a very eminent educationist, a very celebrated author, and a marked environmentalist, who has been the Sri Professor B.L. Kaul, who has been the former head and the former principal of SPMR College of Commerce and Management. He has put in a lot of toil to be the leader activist of wide spectrum of activities, ranging from the field of academia as well as from the field of other NGOs, which are for the causes of social and other human causes, which are working across the globe for very different and wonderful causes required by the humanity. And he is a pioneer environmentalist, who has tried his level best, who has endeavored and put in a lot of energy into making people aware the degradation of rivers, degradation of water bodies, degradation of the torrents, the lakes, and also the mountain ranges. And he's also concerned. He has also shown the picture of the, decreasing wetlands, and also he is especially written and worked in the areas of the wetlands and the migratory birds. So he is a very widely, traveled personality, a widely honored personality. He has been the very prestigious, being he has been an honor to have been the member of many prestigious and institutions as well as the organization across the globe. and he has organized many wonderful. He's a pioneer organizer and organized many wonderful awareness camps, seminars, symposiums, workshops, and also participated in very prestigious workshops across the globe. Especially his concern for the degradation of Himalaya is something which is very, I mean, vividly seen, and it has touched the hearts of many people. It has gone into the awareness cycle of awareness. And then again, he we probably think that it will be. I should we should not waste any more time. We should bring the personality to the fore. So today, we are very privileged to have him with us. So let us welcome with great reverence and affection our native, one of the eminent personalities, Professor Dr. B.L Kaul Sahab, into the Shitalath Conversations show. Kaul Sahab, you are welcome into the 45th Shitalath Conversations show. It's a really honor to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you. I also feel privileged to have been invited to take part in your conversation, the Shitalnath conversations. And let me tell you that I have a lot of love for Shitalnath because I lived in that area, Navi Sadak, and my home was situated on the roadside, and I could see every day, every morning, I could see Shitalnath from my window
Oh,
and behind
beautiful.
Shankaracharya mountain. So I have a lot of love. And as a young boy, we used to go and play in the grounds of Shitalnath. Shitalnath had also very importance as a political platform,
Yes.
and lots of freedom fighters, even Jawaharlal Nehru and others. They have
Gandhi
this.
ji, Jawaharlal Nehru,
Yeah,
Sheikh
yeah.
Mohammad Abdullah, all people used to come there.
Used to
Veer
come.
Savarkar also,
And
Shivnarayan Fotel.
and then Shitalnath had another importance from the point of view from theater. We used to have in Hindu high school, there was a big hall where dramas were taking place in those days when I was a child. Cinema was not so much, seen by people, didn't go very much into cinemas, but theater, where ladies would be there. And there were no ladies to take part as actors, so men would act as ladies also. And there was always social message which came from that theater at Shitalnath.
I also
So,
belong to that area, sir. I was born in Ratanani, but I'm in 60s born. So I was born in Ratanani Hospital, and we used to live on the behind the Yog Sabha on the
oh,
Tang offline side.
lovely,
Yeah.
yeah, really lovely. There used to be
So
a mer. There used to be a mer
yeah,
which,
beautiful word.
between the Shitalnath and Ratarani
Nice,
Hospital. Ratarani
Ratan.
Hospital, very eminent hospital, and it was very well managed hospital those days. And you might remember that this mer used to have that long grass, and there also were birds, these water birds,
Water birds were there. Yeah, lot of
water
water
birds,
birds.
moor hen and coots, and they
Yeah,
used to be
coos were there. Beautiful coos. And bird songs, full of bird songs. Our area was full of bird songs.
full of birds. So
So
that's how I
that's so
remember.
wonderful.
Yeah,
That's great reminiscence of those times. That mer was connected in front of our ground as well. Our, I mean, front yard was there was a mer, and it used to go up to the Ramchandran, and it was a huge area, natural amphitheater, and Shankarachari in the front, and in the birds, trees, and all that. It was a beautiful place that way.
it's all been filled up, and
It's
it's
all
all.
been filmed. I recently saw. It's very tragic. We cannot stand people who have seen it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, sir, before I mean, we move into the arena, we amble into the arena and propel into the arena of your vast contribution in the fields of especially education. You are a great naturalist, and because of the paradigm and the structure of this program, as per the practice in vogue, in our opening segment, we normally take the personality to the Kashmir, his earlier days in Kashmir, his infancy days in Kashmir. So, to begin with, I would like you to kindly go back to the times when you were born, where you were born, your family, your siblings, the street around, the social ecology, and then your growing time in the school, and then into the college, the personalities which came into your life, and how was the surrounding, how are the people. I heard that your father was a medical practitioner, and
Yeah.
you chose to be a naturalist. That there must have been some reason for that. But certainly, in this segment, we really want to understand and see the Kashmir, your life, your family, siblings, times through your prism, to enlighten and to enrich our spectators. Please elucidate.
Actually, my ancestral home was at Zandarmala.
Right.
Zandarmala was a big mola across just across the river, Jhelum, and ours was a well-to-do family and big joint family.
Okay, sir.
And but by the time I was born, my father had four brothers, and he had lost three of them, and then
Okay.
he lost one more, and there were many
Oh,
deaths and so forth. So his guru had advised him just to change, shift toward from that house. That's how we came to Nai Sarak, where he bought this new house, a very good, beautiful house. As far as my childhood is concerned, my early schooling started at Siama School, which was
okay.
a branch of the uh, Siama School, which we now called as Tyndall School Memorial
Tendal
School.
Biscuit.
Yeah, and we had very good teachers, and their influence has been there very much in my life. And we used to be taught English right from the class first. And
Oh,
we had very good teachers, affectionate teachers. And I still remember when I went to the this school for the first time in the kindergarten, there was a very affectionate teacher, Nabsab. We used to be called Nabsab. And Nabsab was so affectionate that first day, when I sent a child to school, he cries. I also cried.
oh,
But he hugged me like his own child, and that's how it happened. That was a very good school. But I would like to say something about the Zandarmola and overall the city of Srinagar. The
okay.
city of Srinagar of those days was crowded. It had not expanded. So these new, colonies had not come up. They came later. Karan Nagar and Wazir Bagh and all those colonies that came up later, and many came after Bakshi Sahab came into power.
Okay.
So there were hardly any, gardens or spaces. There were compounds, but people did not cultivate flowers and so on. But most of the houses had mud roofs.
Mud roofs.
On those mud roofs during summer, during spring and summer, there
Hmm.
used to come up lovely flowering plants,
Oh,
mostly Sisibium, Sisibrium and poppy. So the whole scenario looked yellow and lovely.
wonderful.
That's
Oh,
one aspect. There were not many taps. So the government had put some taps on the roadside and just for the public consumption. So everybody could not afford to have. So that
okay.
happened much later that people started having these taps with fresh water. Uh, while I was in the school, we had a very good playground and we used to play there. And I had some friends. I must have been, I think, around third, third primary class. And I had two close friends, one Brijlal and Girdarilal.
Brijlal and Gildarilal.
Brijlal and Girdarilal lived in the same mohalla, Horshiar.
Okay.
And Girdarilal's family, they had a nickname, Gur. So you used to call him Gur.
Good.
Gur, Goria. I
Okay.
did once or twice. I committed the mistake of calling like that. He must have said it in his home.
Okay.
And one day he told me, "You come on, you come with me to my home after the school was over."
Hmm.
I went there. There was an old man. He received me very warmly, and he just patted me and made me sit and asked his servant to get a apple for me. And
Okay.
while I was having some piece of apple, he said, "Did you see any cow in our compound?" I said, "No." "Then why do you call my son Gur?" Gur, I don't know what to say. That he got to say, no.
Hmm.
Kashmiris have the bad habit of having nicknames.
Nicknames,
And
yeah,
we used to have a cow. Our ancestors used to have cow, and they used to, you see, uh, milk them. They didn't sell milk for their own use. That was the greatest, you see, lesson I got in my as a child, that we should not call names. And it stuck in my mind, and I never
learning.
called.
But
From
how was the? Yeah, yeah, sir. Please,
when
please, please continue. Hmm.
we moved from the Habakadal, I mean from Zandar Mohla to Srinagar to Nai Sadak,
Okay.
yeah, there was a totally different sort of, houses are comparatively not that uh, close
Congestion. Okay.
and congested, and we had more playing space and playground, and it was a good mohalla, good relationship. We had some Muslim families also around, but
Yeah.
by and large, it was a very good area, and it helped us, developing. But after some time, what happened? My father was transferred to Pulwama.
Oh.
So that was, we didn't like it, but he took us along and admitted us in the high school there.
Okay.
The high school didn't have much of a building. There was a private building that they had, and there was hardly any infrastructure. So we used to sit in the open. There was a chinar, there was a big ground with chinars. So most of our classes would take place there. Only when it rained, we were taken to those small rooms called the school.
Hmm.
Uh, but by and large, this lack of infrastructure was compensated by very well educated, highly educated teachers who played a very important role
Hmm.
in my, getting interested in nature studies, especially because they used to take us out into open in the villages around the town. So we'd go and uh, collect tadpoles, frogs, butterflies, this all sort of birds chirping on the trees. So that I think that must have contributed to my becoming a naturalist in later.
Naturalist. And then you went to your school. You were talked about a Tyndall Biscuit School, which later became the Tyndall Biscuit School. It was in which area? It was the same building in which Tyndall Biscuit nowadays it, or it was this different one in your time?
No, they had this primary branch at Habakadal,
Okay.
and there another branch at Fatehkadal.
Fateh Kadal,
CM.
yes. Fateh Kadal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was all Christian missionary run schools.
Yeah.
Normally, after my primary year, I would have gone into the Sheikhbag school or Fatehkadal school. But since my father was transferred to Pulwama, we had to go there. And when we went there, from desks, we went to a place where we were to make sit on the ground on
Okay.
the choir matting. We complained, myself and my elder brother, he was 2 years ahead of me.
Okay.
We complained to him, why you have got us? He said, do you know that Rabindranath Tagore started Vishwa Bharati
in
in
like
open
this
space.
open
Have you
space
heard
under
of?
the
Have you heard of? Have you heard of about Rabindranath Tagore? He was such a great man. Then Vishwa Bharati became a university. Then he will also tell us about uh, great people of that area. शाम को बैठते थे हम. So then he
okay
would tell us tales about all the people who had fought in the, you know, uh, for freedom of India.
independence,
Yes.
yeah,
Uh,
and how was the Pulwama as a village? I mean, did it appeal you? The greenery, the other places, it must have been good, nice in those days.
yeah, yeah. The surroundings of Pulwama were great. Like open, lovely spaces, streams, open fields, and then when the cultivation of, paddy, the
Paddy
whole
around.
the whole thing will become green and green and green for miles and miles on.
Yeah,
And when it would ripen, then you would have gold and gold. It would
yellow
turn into
gold,
yellow
crispy. Yeah,
hue. It was very lovely. And there were streams, there were springs. I must tell you, there was no electricity. There
oh,
was no tap water. So we used to have these kerosene gas lamps, which were lighted every every night. And for drinking water, our helpers would get water from the spring close by. And for having a bath, there was a small stream running through, right through the hospital. There was a small rivulet, and we could go and
torrent.
yes, we could go and have a wash there.
So that had a very impact. Your childhood has been spent into this landscape of Kashmir, open
Good.
waterways. It had
Yeah,
affected you as a so you were towards the naturalist. You became a naturalist. And
that
so, what was your tell us because now we have to move ahead and tell us about your college, the institution, the people who inspired you, and how was the times around during your college times? You studied in probably SP College or
yes, from Pulwama, when my father was transferred to Gurez, well, he could not have taken us there. Gurez used to be shut for 6 months, so we would see his face only after 6 months. And uh, there was no there was a road, but which was used only by the army. So for these officials, government officials, the army would give them lift for coming, going to they issue them pass and come. First, I went to SP school. SP school had very good infrastructure and very good teachers. I remember some of them uh, really affectionately. One of them was GL Labru. He used to teach me English. There was Master Neelkant.
Master
He was
Nilkant was there? I don't know. Acha, that must be
Kaul,
different.
Neelkant Kaul. We
He
also
was a
had
national school who came to national school later on.
no, no,
It
no. He
must
was
be
a good.
different.
Then we had a poet who was one of my teachers, Muhyiddin, uh,
Vaidin.
Maghribi.
Oh, so good.
He was a humorous poet, and
Humorous.
yeah, he used to recite his poems. He would not spare even our principal. Uh,
Satirical. It must be satirical poetry you must have been like.
then there was a science teacher, Gopinath Gunju.
Hmm.
They laid the foundation of scientific mind and scientific thinking in us. Pranath, there was Pranath Mia. So very good teachers. Then SP College was closed by, so next was that,
Went
uh,
to SP College.
in SP College also we found that infrastructure was excellent, very good. I I now find when I go outside the country, I find that most of the buildings and the college buildings, Amarsi College, SP College, and many many buildings they've been styled after Scotland or buildings that we have in.
Architecture was yeah, it was taken there. It was a hybrid architecture, mixed architecture.
तो वहाँ का होगा mix कुछ वो
Scottish.
so, uh, and academics was very good at SB College. So intermediate after intermediate, normally I should have gone for medicine.
Okay.
I did apply. I did apply for medical college. Scenario came up. Uh, Same year, the year I passed my intermediate, and I applied and was not selected for obvious reasons. It happened with us. Uh, those with lower merit were preferred, and merit was not the whole criteria for selection. In any
Okay.
way, this very much intention. So maybe next year I would have been taken in. I didn't apply, and there were two teachers who really I must credit for making me a naturalist. Dr. B.L Kaul,
Dr. B.L
Dr.
Kaul.
B.L Kaul. B.L Kaul was the department of zoology, and Professor Kanilal Razdan. He was a professor in botany. And there was one more, Professor Badrinath Paul. Now, they were really very good at, creating an interesting flora and fauna. You could pick up any flower, any gee, anything from the ground, and ask them what is it. So there they would tell you what it is.
Kashmir had the great teachers, great professors. I mean, it had a very specialty in Kashmir was that the teachers and professors were wonderful, especially
Even now,
maybe in your time as well. Yeah.
uh, sometimes even now, uh, I may have a question to ask. Ask Professor K.L. Razlan. And he knows the answer. And I tell you about the Dr. B.L Kaul. He was a pioneer researcher of Kashmir. He he did his PhD from Lucknow University. He used to go in the months of in the winter months, and there was Professor Thapar, who was a great helminthologist, and did his PhD under very hard conditions because you didn't have एसपी कॉलेज में तो माइक्रोस्कोप्स तो होते थे बट फॉर रिसर्च यू नीड माइक्रोस्कोप्स which have to be very powerful.
Powerful
And
ones. Yeah.
I'm thankful to Professor B.L Kaul because he had got some very powerful microscopes in SP College, which I used later for my PhD when I was working there.
It,
And the lab was also good, equipment was good. Uh,
Kaul you were basically, I could now understand your interest into the ecology and environmental sciences. And because you didn't go to the medical college but then your interest in towards fishery is something which is remarkable. We have done a lot of contribution in that field. And we have also learned that when you did your doctorate in fishery and your postdoctorate also, you contributed something great into the science of fishery, especially in Kashmir. Tell us about whole this your what do you call it, romanticizing with this fishery and its development and its research and its contribution to the society, especially Kashmir, because fishery is your one of the most
yeah,
important. You are the pillar of the creating the science of
and
fisheries in Jammu and Kashmir. Yeah,
I must tell you, uh, I had the interest in fisheries right from my home. My mother
right.
used to tell me her father was Sadama Miskin. Sadama Jo Miskin was my maternal grandfather.
Right,
He
sir.
was associate of Mr. Mitchell, who introduced trout into Kashmir.
Michelle.
Mitchell. Mitchell was a
Okay.
sportsman who was running a carpet factory at uh, uh, where now you have got MP school.
Hmm.
There was a carpet factory that he used to run there. since he came from Scotland, Scotland is full of these trout fish, and trout fish not basically is that sports fish.
Okay.
People, it is very difficult to catch a trout fish in the stream. They live, these trout fish, they live in cold water streams. And there are lots of cold water streams in England, Scotland,
Glacier water. Yeah.
glacial water, running water.
Running
And
water.
yeah, the, 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 the men who just want to anglers, we call them anglers, the men who are interested in sport of catching is a game between the fisher and the fish. He puts in a rod in the water, and there's a fly. We call it a fly.
Okay.
It is not a live bait. It's a metallic fly which looks like a fly, and the fish comes, looks at the fly, then he thinks that this is should I eat it or not? Is it worth eating or not? Then will go away. The
Okay.
angler is waiting. He waits, and the fish may come, and ultimately it may bite, and that uh, is actually a hook. What the fish thinks is a fly is actually a hook, and it's a
Oh,
spot. So there's a struggle between the uh, angler and the fish. So that's a beautiful part of it. It's a sport, so people go for fishing for this thing. This man got an idea that we should start this uh, because we were under the British India, and Britishers used to come. They would come to Kashmir, and they should have something for sport. So
so
this idea
fishing was
came to got fish eggs from Bristol. Now, those days we didn't have this. This is somewhere at the beginning of the 20th century, 1900, 1901, around that time. So he got fish eggs.
exotic, huh? Hmm.
Wow. So that's called spawn in our terminology. And when they were not, they got them in big pots through ships to Bombay. From Bombay, they are to be carried to Kashmir all the way first by train and then by those days perhaps Tongas or whatever was available from
Horses.
Muzaffarabad. Yeah, from Muzaffarabad to Kashmir. Somehow or the other, he was able to get some live. Most of them had died, but he could get it. And tried an experiment there at Bagh Dilavar Khan, which was where we have the MP school.
Okay.
So that didn't prove successful because you need running water for this. So it did.
Running
My
stream.
my grandfather was a manager in his factory, a young man, intelligent man, and he picked up this art. They got again, and next time they were successful and started this fisheries at Haram.
Okay.
And my mother
Her
has been a Haram. My mother, that time must have been a small girl who was watching her father doing all these things. She would relate all these things to us as children.
oral history.
So, so we were two sisters and four brothers who sit together, and she would tell us tales about how her father used to do all this. And he went all the way to Skim, and he had gone to so many places because all the rule, once it was established, this trout fisheries was established in Kashmir streams, and this my grandfather Sadama, he was the man who established them in different streams. And then all the Rajas would come to Maharaja Hari Singh, tell him कि हमें भी दे दो जी इनको हमारे बाप का. So that we had gone to, that created the interest in me. And luckily for me, when I went to post graduation, our head of department, Professor Das, he was also a man of fisheries,
Oh. Mhm.
and he somehow got see interested in me. He said, "You take this fisheries as special subject." So that's how I got introduced to it. And after I did my MSc, I was 20 and a half when I became a lecturer. I got the lecturer's job and was
Okay.
posted. So now there's another story at Sopor also. We have a fish market because all the fish from Waller Lake. Waller Lake is the largest,
It was
used
the
to be the
largest.
largest lake in the
Used to be
of Asia.
Asians. Yeah.
But now I feel so sorry that it's not the same Waller Lake that I used to go to catch my fish for research. So that was also a good thing that happened to me that I was at Sopor and I got close to the fishermen. The fishermen are, you see, these people who are actually in the field, they know many things
On the
about
ground.
fish, their habits, their food habits, their how difference between one. They know the difference between one and to a common man. This all Kashmiri fish are kosher guard. The kosher guard has many species. There
Multiple.
are
It's a variety. Yeah. Different varieties. Yeah.
and they know difference. They know the difference that from their color and all those things that
So this trout is not an
no,
indigenous breed.
it is an
Okay.
exotic fish that was
It's an
brought in
exotic.
here. Yes,
Okay.
it's just like you see. Basically, it was got as a sports fish, and later on, I will tell you how you see now it has become a fish which is also cultivated, cultured. Two of my papers after my doctorate were published in Germany. They uh, are concerned about how these fish multiply and how we can differentiate. Now, if you remember, there is a fish called K- Kundgurun. There's a
Yes.
small,
Kashmiri name. Kandgurun.
some call it Ramagurun.
Yeah.
Kundgurun lives in lake, in Dal Lake, Uller Lake, but it's a small fish. It doesn't have much of an importance from that point of view. I found that this fish, for most of the time, is in the lake, but it also comes to the river
Oh.
during the summer when it's caught and comes to the market. When it's in the river, it's caught and it's marketed by the fishermen. Now, why does it come to the river? It struck me. Why doesn't it stay on
What is?
in the
Yeah.
lake? Why does it come to the river and in summer? And I observed that it comes for breeding to the river. It
Oh.
breeds in the river bed.
Riverbed.
And at that time, the male can easily be differentiated from the female from the coloration. And the male has a, let's see, a spine here, which is a defense mechanism. If you catch it, it will just
Mm.
bite you with that spine.
Oh.
So this discovery that it travels, it migrates from from lake to the river, and unfortunately, that very time it's caught when it's the river, and people relish it. And I've
That. Yeah.
seen the females full of belly full of eggs, which would
Oh.
normally should be laid, and from which new fish would come. And the fish is caught at that time, so it's a loss from the point
Yes.
of fisheries. I happen to, I happen to see literature in which I found that the production of fish in Kashmir, in terms of mondage, we call it mondage. This how many mond, those these monds, as just as we have got the quintal now,
Okay.
then
Mond.
it was mond. The mondage of Kashmir fish was the same as of Rajasthan. Now imagine
Oh.
Rajasthan with so little water, oil is
The
available, and
geography
there
is
is
different.
water
Terrain is
every
different.
mondage
Yeah.
is the same.
Okay.
Again, I worked on this, and I came to the conclusion that you see there are two types of fishing. Number one is natural, you know, you go and go into the natural water bodies and you catch fish. The second type is that you have farms, fish farms. You grow them in the fish farms and grow them there and then increase the production. That's how you can increase the mondage. That's how the Rajasthan was having the same mondage as we were having, because they were having lots of fish farms. So I had written another paper which also was published in Germany about this productivity of fish. Now, something very interesting I'm going to tell you.
Hmm.
Chinese carp was introduced in Kashmir by, there was one director, Malik. Government of India was, you see, propagating that fish production must be increased, fish must be introduced in large numbers, and such fish like Chinese carp, which grows very fast. If you use those uh, fish seeds and produce this, there will be more protein for people to eat. So
Right.
under the scheme, without ascertaining what effect it will have on the local fisheries from a point of view of ecologists, it was wrong.
Against the
So
nature.
Mr. Malik got fish seed and he introduced this in the valley, in water bodies, and they propagated fast and spread fast. When for the first time this Punjab guard, what we call the cow, when it came into the market, it was sold at 5 rupees a kilo, whereas the Kashmiri guard was selling at 1 rupee a kilo.
Oh,
People thought this is something very good, something new. So it must be something very great. Within a year or so, the production of this fish was so large. Now this was being sold at 8 annas a kilo. Yes, I'm telling you, this is somewhere around 57, 58. I went into I said, why this is happening? I took the Kashmiri fish and these carps and tried to find out what is it for of their production capacity, egg capacity, egg production capacity. Like I took a 2 kilo fish, Kashmiri fish, kosher guard,
okay.
and 2 kilo Punjab guard.
Okay.
A 2 kilo
Compare.
Punjab guard produces 2 lakh eggs compared to 30,000 eggs of this 2 kilo Kashmiri guard. Now see, when both lay eggs, which have more chance to survive? There are factors, natural factors, which will see reduce their survival. But still, the 2 lakh eggs have a better survival value than these ones.
Certainly, the number is too much, many times higher.
So the result was that since they produced in so large numbers and they went into all water bodies, there was competition with our own because they just competition of food. Because of that competition, the Kashmiri guards started declining. This is somewhere after, you see, my postdoctoral work. Those days, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah was there. I wrote
Right.
to him that, you see, the mondage of our fish is the same as of Rajasthan. And Rajasthan is doing so well because they have cultivated farms. So this fish that we have, we must have grow them in farms rather than in the open. So fish farms must be established. He appreciated this, wrote to the director of fisheries
Fisheries.
of that time, and then they
The
thought,
revolution started.
yes, it's time. And they started. They introduced, uh, what's called as a mahsir. Mahsir was introduced in uh, this powerhouse that we have at Jammu, that Chenab, Chenab River,
Chinab. Chinab.
and yeah, Chenab. And another farm was established at Kutuba, where there's a seed farm, and there are lots of fish farms now throughout Jammu, which many private parties are producing fish and small. Now we have lots of fish in the market. In Kashmir, it could not be done. They did it with respect to cultivating trout. There's as a form of trout which calls oncorhynchus.
Okay.
Oncorhynchus was introduced by the government, and there are farms, government farms and private farms. Now you can see trout is sold in the market. It's no,
So it is. So your contribution in your doctoral and postdoctoral
yes.
thesis had made a lot of change in the
There's
overall evolution of the fish culture and this marketing and volume in the valley in J&K rather, Jammu and Kashmir.
oh,
Sir, I would like to move slightly ahead now. I want from your glimpse, from your prism and experience, because Kashmir, if what we see into the old books, especially English authors, they have these wonderful pictures of Kashmir, and we have also seen, and you yourself related in Pulwama. I have also gone to Aharbal, Kokar Panj, Kokarnag, and there is to be even Harvan was full of water once. So these all wonderful water bodies 50 years back, 100 years back, in these 20, 30, 40 years, they have all shrunk and certain bodies are disappeared. Tell us something about this whole this phenomena. And another thing that which we heard, I don't know how far it is true because you're an expert ecologist. You must be knowing. You must throw some light on it. That this Mar Canal project. This came. They said that this came and kind of this the water bodies were probably reduced to. To negligibility because of this Smart Canal project. I don't know this whole mechanism. Kindly throw some light on this, how it
yes.
was and what was the contribution of Smart Canal project.
These are two different questions. Number one is the reduction of the water bodies that you are saying.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
most of our water bodies, they are fed by glaciers.
Yeah.
They are fed.
Origin is glacier.
Our rivers are fed by glaciers. Our streams are fed by glaciers, and then our lakes are also. They get water from. They have their own springs also. Dal Lake has so many springs, but most of the water that comes to it comes from a Telbal Nala.
Available.
So lots of things have happened at the global level because of the global warming. The
Glaciers are
glaciers
melted.
are melting, and so this is becoming less and less. And uh, those scientists who are working on this, they have shown feared that by some time, by maybe another 20 years, the flow of water will be so less that we would hardly have water to cultivate our crops. As you know, Himalayas, we worship Himalayas.
Yeah, yeah. Himalaya is something very
You know,
mighty and very, very.
I
It is gigantic. It's yeah.
gigantic and virtually
We can't
worshipping. They are the
abode of
abode of
Mahadeva, abode of
abode of
Shankara.
Shankara.
Yeah,
Even even Dr. Iqbal in his सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा, he says पर्वत वो सबसे ऊंचा हमसाया आसमान का,
Hamsaya Asman. Tallest, as tall
वो
as.
सब संतरी हमारा, वो पासबान हमारा.
That is true also. That's true also.
So tall, that's the tallest of all the mountains, and it is our. It has been our pasban and the century because the hordes of barbarians from the north
Yeah,
could
it
come to
stopped.
India. It
It
stopped,
prevented everything.
and at the same time, our rishis and munis knew that these are the Himalayas are there for the food security of our country.
Yeah, it
Our
was
food security.
kind of a landlocked place, an island where the science, spiritual sciences developed. All these rishis, they did the meditation. New revelations happened.
They, they were
Mathematics, science.
They were,
Yeah,
They were scientists, they were intellectuals,
Intellectuals. Yeah.
thought of, you see, all those things.
And Mark, yes, water bodies. I'm talking about we were talking about Kashmir water bodies because
Yes,
Kashmir is part of
Kashmir
Himalaya,
is
no
part of
doubt.
the
Yeah.
Himalayas.
Mhm.
Kashmir is part of the Himalayas. Kashmir
Yeah.
actually is, it is three, it's a terraced sort of thing. Lower terrace, middle terrace, and upper terrace. Lower terrace is the Jammu region. So we have
Shivalik.
Jammu,
Shivalik.
Jammu Himalayas.
Shivalik.
Middle is the Kashmir Himalayas. Then the Great Himalayas, Ladakh and Tibet and all that.
Might.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So these water
this,
bodies, I can see the Wular also. Wular, even I remember I was very small in those days. Shadipur, people used to go. Kashmiri Pandits, Hindus used to go to Shadipur, and it was full of water, and there was everything everywhere. It was a kind of so much of turbulence, so much of turbulence, so much of movement of the water, so abundant sources of water they
yeah,
were.
also remember in your younger days, the river used to be full of water. River Jhelum, full of water.
Jahil was
And
full of
some
water.
years back, I was shocked. I could see when I was just going through this zero bridge, I could see that how shallow the river had become. And there
My
were small islands where you had only silt and silt and silt. But now there's a difference. It is, things have started improving a little.
okay.
Now, what we found 10, 12 years ago, उसमें थोड़ा फर्क हो गया है now. और ये जो वाटर बॉडीज की बात है, श्रीनगर you could easily called Venice of East.
Moorcraft said it. No, Moorcraft put this name. Moorcraft, the author and visitor. Yeah,
In
he said that.
our childhood, I remember we used to go to places through water bodies only by boat. School used to send us to various picnics and excursions through Dunga and
Dunga
shikaras.
cruise. Dunga
All
cruise.
it was. I have gone so many times from this River Jhelum to the various gardens that we have watched. There
Tula
used to be
Mulayan Gardens also.
Shield Tank. Shield Tank used to be a place where from you could take a shikara and go to Ranavari and then then you go to Tulamola, you could go to any place you like. And
Mandarwal,
Nalamar
where,
was also part of it. Now coming
yes.
to Nalamar part, I tell you, Nalamar, it is said that this Nalamar had been there for a very long time, 500 BC. It had been there. The Dal Lake, which is referred in Kalhana's Rajatarani as a jewel.
Yes.
Kalhan says there's a jewel in the heart of the valley of Kashmir. And Valare, this at one point, this jewel of this Dal, it extended from Shankaracharya right up to
Ah, beautiful.
Burzhama, and on this side it went all the way up to what Saura. And if you calculate this, this comes to 72 square kilometers.
My God.
By the beginning of this century, still it was last century. Beginning of the last century, it was still 21 square kilometers as
Mhm.
per the statistics available. And now, what is the total uh, area of Dal Lake? It's less
It's
than 10.
very, it is very. I mean, I just saw because in my lifetime also, in our time also, I remember in 70s when we were in our schools in 70s and 60s. From those times, Dal Lake and today's Dal Lake, these 40, 50 years, have totally devastated. There's a very little space. If you look from Shankaracharya top, so you are shocked.
Shock.
Literally, you are shocked.
It, it, it has been converted into a cesspool. And the last nail in the death of this has been the Naramur. Nalamar was a water body which used to take water from the city and also some of the discharge from the Dal Lake. And it was at the same time a waterway through which boats would move, vegetables were moved, everything moved. It was a mode of transport, and there were as many as 7 bridges on it. Nalamar.
Seven bridge.
Saf Kadal, Buhir Kadal, this Kadal, that Kadal. In Bakshi Saab's time, somebody proposed that we should clean this, but
Molly
it could not.
Farooq, Molly Farooq's father, probably, they say.
Ah,
Somebody.
he might have proposed that this should be cleaned, but it could not be cleaned till Sadiq Saab's time. In Sadiq Saab's time, they asked the civil engineers that we should be cleaned and it should be broadened and should be all that. But there were many political things and there were other factors, and they should have consulted ecologists, environmentalists, what to do, what not to do about it. They chose the easiest way, that is to fill it up, make it convert it into a road, and
Land
on
and
the
road.
sides have big buildings and shops and all that. Forgetting that this will choke the Dal Lake, because once that stopped, there was a backflow of all those things which we used to go move through Malamar into the river Jhelum and then go down. That stopped, and as you know, houseboats are adding all the dirt to the.
Yeah, I mean, it has become more congested now, and I mean, everything is filled up. Silt is there. And
Silt is there. Silt is coming from Nalamur. This what do you call this? तेलबल नाला. उसका तो उन्होंने बनाया, बेसन बना दिया है कि वहां रुकेगा वो करेगा, लेकिन वो फिर फोर शो रोड बना देंगे, वो भी बना दिया. But pollution has continued, and it looks like a cesspool. If you go to that side of the other side of this Dal Lake, सफाई भी करते हैं, सब कुछ करते हैं, but there's no, so lots of money has been
it's very sad.
wasted.
Now you're saying that some changes are coming now. You're saying some new changes are coming to preserve the water bodies. Nalaimar, as you explained, that it was a
Nalaman
disaster. It was a disaster.
now, that was a see, ecological disaster that should not have been done. अब तो हो गया है, उसका क्या करेंगे, लेकिन अब तो we have there's a full-fledged department of these waterways and lakes and all, but they're doing अपना तो
Doing
कर
the
रहे हैं
job.
वो, they're doing if something happens.
Acha, sir, I would like now come down to one of the most beautiful topic, which probably you also cherish. That was the bird watching. I'm also a bit of bird watcher, not a big bird watcher, because here we have very little wetlands. I mean, we have some wetlands in Araspura and all, but Kashmir we had enough wetlands, and bird watching was a dream. I've heard that you co-authored and probably extended the Master Sansarchan calls because he was a great bird watcher. The book.
Yes,
And
yes.
tell us about these wetlands and this entire scenario of bird watching. Does the migratory birds come, and what is the trafficking, and how all these things have evolved or changed or redirected for degradation or betterment? I don't know. You can just throw a light on it.
Uh, Master Samsarchan Kaul was really a great man. He wrote that although he was himself a art student, but
Okay.
in the company of his colleagues in Siama School, English British colleagues, and he wrote that wonderful book, Birds of Kashmir. Utpal Kaul ji is his grandson.
Okay.
He contacted us, myself and Dr. Rana. Now he's no more, Dr. Rana, and another
Utpal Kaul, that Aditraj Kaul's father,
Utpal
the
Kaul. Yeah,
journalist.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Utpal Kaul is grandson of Samsarchan Kaul.
Okay.
So we have well, Dr. Rana, myself, and another professor, P.L. Kaul, three of us, who have revised that book, updated it, and brought it to a certain level of modernity so that it can be used both as a textbook and as a guidebook. Now,
That's a
bird
wonderful
watching is really
contribution.
wonderful.
Great contribution.
For, for, for bird watching, you need time. You have to spend time and calm and quiet, and then it's a real pleasure to watch birds. And Sergey Samsachin Kohl was a great bird watcher, and he produced generations of bird watchers. Now
Yes.
we have revised that. That book will come very soon, and that will be very good. And one of the important things that we know see now among the bird migration, birds that come to Kashmir, we have got two types of birds: resident birds and migratory birds.
Migratory birds. Yeah, they used to come.
Birds are the ones that we see around the year: pigeons, bulbuls, sparrows, crows. They are resident birds.
Myna.
Myna. But these migratory birds, they come only during a certain period. Uh, Here again, we have got two categories of this: those that come in the summer and those that come in the winter.
Okay.
Those that come in the summer include those birds which come all the way. Say, for example, we
Siberia.
have the golden oriole. Golden
Yes.
oriole comes all the way from Transvaal, which comes all
Oh,
the way from South Africa.
my
Just
God.
see how much it travels. And there's one bird which is called flycatcher. Now, it comes all the way, it's a small bulbul-like bird with a long white tail. In Kashmir, we call it fambasir. It comes all
Hamsi.
the way from Indonesia.
Oh,
Yes. And there are many birds coming from different parts of the world. They come
Pambach is
during a
also in earlier times. I remember Pambach used to be Pambach or something like that. Some. I mean, it. They used to people used to eat Pambach or something like that. That was also a migratory kind of a bird, or no?
no, no, no. Pambish,
That,
no. Pambasir, this is what I'm talking about the Pambasir. Pambish is the fruit of this lotus.
okay.
Pam-
No, that is known as okay. Okay, I have heard some name. Maybe I'm misspelling and I'm not recollecting that. Yeah,
Now, another variety of birds that come to us, they come in the winter. They come from Siberia when it's very harsh there.
Siberian. Yeah,
Siberian birds. They come all the way and spend their time in winter. They start coming in the autumn and they are here. Now they have been affected greatly also because of the what because
wetland.
of the water bodies, wetlands. Wetlands have been shrinking. They have been shrinking and they are becoming shallow. But there's one good thing that there's a control over poaching. पहले तो मारते थे इनको मार के you would have openly they were sold.
Yeah,
Ducks. So
ducks. Yeah, ducks.
those ducks are not now openly. So maybe there must be some trafficking going on. तो
Regulations.
चुपके तो करते ही होंगे. But इस तरह नहीं ऐसे open market में they are not sold.
It's a
So
wonderful subject. We can go on and on about the birds. It is a beautiful area to explore. And I mean, if one does this work, I mean, he can take decades and decades and go on researching and enjoying this
I'll tell
particular.
you a very funny thing.
Yeah,
These uh, what we call as a kukil
cooking.
dough. Now, when a kukil sits on a tree and it sings, now our boys in the this I have learned while I was on Pulwama. So boys they also make some sounds. They make some sounds like this, and the bird also see when a bird sings, you also sing. The bird again you see responds.
Response
Yes,
reciprocates.
yes.
Yes, yes. This happens. I mean, this happens with parrots and other crows also. I mean, this is a human endeavor I mean, over the years, the living with the birds and living with the flora and fauna. I mean, I would like to continue this entire chapter on birds and the wetlands, but then we have constraints of time as well, and we'll have another session with you, a detailed session, especially on the wetlands and the birds. But I would like to say one thing. What about this wildlife, Kashmiri wildlife? We have heard about. There are limited things we know. I mean, hongul, musk deer, and this Himalayan tahar, and I don't know, three, four more things. So, what is the condition? Kindly let our spectator understand what is our indigenous breed of these wildlife and what is their condition now. Are they endangered? Are they gone? Have they vanished? What are the prospects and where do they live? How is their habitat and other things? Yeah,
Most of our wildlife is in need of being protected because poaching is one thing which is happening all the way, all the time, and poachers have been at it. For example, in the case of snow leopard, the snow leopard lives on the high altitudes, high mountains. It's very beautiful, very graceful,
snow leopard. Yeah, is a
and
Himalayan.
a Himalayan. A skin of a snow leopard gets anything between 4 to 5 lakh rupees. So people still do it, but the
Oh,
because of the controls now, the poaching uh, has reduced. Likewise, shahtoos shal. Shah-
Shatus. Yeah,
Shal is a very rare thing. It comes from uh,
novelty.
is a novelty. It comes from a animal which lives again at the high altitude. It's like a goat. In fact, we call it antelope.
Antelope.
And Shahtul shall cost anything between a lakh of rupees to 5 lakh rupees. So they have also been mercilessly killed. Now, because there's no control over sale of Shahtul, so it has come down. Likewise, we also have, you see, at the time of independence in 1947, the number of Hongul was estimated
Hongul.
to be 5,000. Hongul moves right from, you see, this whole from Kishtwar, Bhadrava, to the mountains of Kashmir, right up to Handwara and all this. So it was so mercilessly killed,
Oh,
especially when after 47. These Dogra rulers did a lot of good to the state. They were guarding our forests like anything. We were really rich
they were great
and
people. They created institutions. They developed so many things. My goodness, Dogra rulers have
well guarded, and
well done.
could not cut any tree. And after this 47, when these Awami government came, it was free for all, and they started, you see, degrading forests, cutting trees. Now, forests are just as we have a home, we live in a home. Forests are home for the wildlife. If you remove their home,
Okay.
where will they go? They get exposed. Poachers come and kill them.
Oh,
That is so simple. So once you degrade, see, right now we have got 2.5 lakh hectares of degraded lands, forests. 2.5 lakh
my God,
degraded. Now these cannot be nurtured or grown back again. So there's a dead loss,
the Baron dead.
a bare. You see, there was a mountains was full of trees and forests. Now it's all barren. So this is what is happening. That exposes our life. We wildlife. We have uh, markhor. Markhor is
Marco.
a goat, is a wild goat, and we
Oh,
also have wild sheep. We have wild asses.
they
There
still
must
exist.
there
There is a
must
number.
be it is rich, so rich wildlife
We
in
still
the state.
have any number of them.
We
I
still
mean, are
have,
they? Oh,
we still have them.
that's so
Fortunately,
great.
wild asses are there in the Ladakh, in the mountains. and double-humped camel. They are also there in the Ladakh. Partridges. You might have heard about sonochuchur.
Son Chuchur,
Sonochuchur,
Son Chuchur, yeah. I've heard about this from my mother,
and
grandmother.
these are wild fowl, and they used to be uh, there used to be lots of them. I have seen many of them here. In Jammu, we have, luckily, we have wild fowl, jungly murga. It is,
Yes, yes.
it's,
I've seen.
it's not being killed because it's well protected, well guarded. फिर भी
And
कुछ
there
ना
is
कुछ
there's a wild swine also. I have seen it on the mountains once I was trekking. Wild
yes,
swine.
wild swine. There are wild swine
And
and
then the
nilgai.
fowls,
In Jammu, we have
nilgai.
got nilgai. Achha, on this side of the border, there are few nilgai because when they go the other way, वहां तो वो नीलगाय को मार लेते हैं, खा जाते हैं. But wild boar is lot of wild boar is there because they
Still.
don't eat them, so they are
Because
there.
we worship cow, we take it as a, I mean, respect cow, and that's why.
Yeah. So that
That's
has
so
been the
wonderful.
that
Great,
has been
great.
wildlife and birds and migratory birds and so on and so forth. It's a long, subject. And we
Whatever.
also we have lovely trees, pine trees, sal
Flora, yes.
trees,
I was going to ask about flora. Just a brief about the flora. Give us a brief about the flora, about the
rich,
trees.
very rich flora,
Willow, poplar,
willows, beautiful Lombardy poplar trees on both sides of the Baramulla, Srinagar Baramulla Road.
avenues.
Lombardy
There are avenues. Yeah.
avenues on way to see these Maharajas really they did a lot of good for this country and
For
protect.
cedar, other things. Yeah.
They had good
Great.
tastes.
And this almonds and this
Almond,
almonds,
almonds and walnuts
walnut,
and yeah, walnuts they are there and willows. Willows
willow.
there are lots and our willow is valued for making bats. So willows are there. We also have fruit trees, cherries, almonds, as you said, and
Apple.
apricots, apples. So that trade is going on. But there's a lot of competition between Himachal and Kashmir now.
Himachal, they have gone in scientific revolution. I
They
think they
have
have,
they have a full-fledged university on only on fruit trees.
like Israel, they have created fruits on the rocky slopes. They have
Yeah,
created fruits on the rocky slopes. They have worked very hard.
they're competing with Kashmir. Very
They're
much.
now they're competing with Kashmir. It happened with our carpet industry as well, and it is happening with our apple industry as well
It's
because we
finished.
don't take
Yeah, yeah. We have not taken the scientific,
measures.
methods, ways, and means.
But still, yet there's a good news that all these people are now in race for these orchids. So they are in competition. Everybody wants to make his orchid, and now people are in
Yeah,
competition of it. So
yeah,
that's a good news in a way.
yeah, 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 yeah. You were asking me about flowers.
Yeah,
Uh,
flowers is something which I really wanted to know about. The
see,
Kashmiri flowers,
one flower that has been, see, that is really we love. That's marigold. Marigold
marigold.
used in puja, and and marigold. Our ancestors, our forefathers, they used to dry them up during the summer and then use because in summer, in winter, they wouldn't get any flowers, so they would use the dried flowers for puja. So that's where it stands. Lotus.
Like dry vegetables they used to eat, and like
Yeah, lilies, the narcissus, and others,
narcissus,
and
marigolds,
poppy,
and then there is tulip. Tulip is an indigenous one. No,
tulips.
it has tulip.
Tulips are indigenous. They're not indigenous.
They are not.
We have lots of lilies naturally
Lilies,
growing. Narcissus, as you said.
jasmine,
Yes,
jasmine.
me. Poppies. There's one poppy.
Yeah.
There's one poppy which is called as blue poppy. Blue poppy grows at very high altitude. It's called Neelakant. It's blue
Beautiful.
and it's very rare. Blue poppy I have collected as a student. I have collected these blue poppies. And there's a cobra plant, Himalayan cobra plant,
Shivalin Cobra.
found at higher altitude. It's exactly like a cobra, and it looks the flower is like a cobra.
And you have
And
saffron
there's
flower also.
flower of
Yeah.
saffron flowers. So how beautiful they are, and when they cultivate them, the whole miles and miles of the pampoor, you see, is full of these. There's one flower that I would like to mention. That's called larkspur. Larkspur, well, wherever you see, there's got an inflorescence. There's a group of flowers coming up like this. One is facing this way, one is facing this way.
Okay.
Now this is called hush nosh posh. Hush nosh. Two flowers.
Kashmiris are class in humor, and their names.
Hush nosh. They say, see, I try. Then
Kashmir
so many
वाला चे भलाई, Kashmir से भलाई.
varieties of
Humorous was बात नहीं बनता. Human or this. And sir, now we are slightly. I mean, sorry. I want. This is an. I mean, there are many. You are a treasure. I mean, you are a storehouse of knowledge, and I really want independent chapters, independent these sessions on these. I mean, wildlife and the birds and the flora and fauna. But now, since we are, I mean, rushing towards the end of the time, and so we need to move on. Before we close, I just want, because you are a great sensitive environmentalist and naturalist, you've written a lot and you have made a lot of awareness about this. Tell us something brief about this Himalayan degradation, because we can see, I mean, the towns and towns of places there, the landslides in the entire belt of Himachal Pradesh and then Uttarakhand and in this UP area, and many things are happening in Himalaya. Tell us briefly tell us about
yeah.
what is this adventure. Yeah.
There are see, two reasons, main reasons. One is the see natural reason is the greenhouse effect, what we call as a greenhouse effect.
Okay.
The pollution, the gases, carbon emissions,
Carbon
they have
emission.
carbon emissions. They have really polluted the whole world, whole environment, and Himalayas are a part of uh, this landscape, this whole world. So one reason of these cloud bursts
Cloudburst.
happen so often. We didn't hear about cloud bursts so often when we were young, but now it's happening so often.
It's so often, yeah, we can say.
And Uttarakhand, these floods happening so often. Especially, we had so many cloud bursts, and in Kashmir also, some small, some even this year there was a cloud burst near Amarnath cave,
Oh,
and uh, melting of glaciers.
glacier melting is a great. That's a
Yes,
great
melting
concept.
of glaciers at a very fast rate. What happens is uh, glacier melts. Now, at the same time, there are landslides. Okay, there are also lakes, high altitude lakes. When glaciers melt, a lot of water goes on accumulating, and the mouth of this lake, natural lake, is stopped by a landslide. So
Oh,
water is coming in, and when the pressure increases, the pressure is so much, and the amount of
enormous.
water is so much that in one single go, it goes
Oh,
down with such fast fury and this thing. It happens when rains are there, especially during the rainy season. So rain water is coming, glaciers are melting, landslides are happening. So in one go,
and
this thing that
deforestation has a role in this
this
deforestation.
was
If we had to
main,
use, yeah,
main cause. This is the main cause because
very tragic, very tragic.
this is forests, they stabilize our these. And Himalayas are said to be the youngest mountains so far as the world is concerned. They are
They are
the
the young,
oldest.
they are the biggest.
It's still growing and quite young. So they are
And it
not
has an effect. It has an effect on the plains too. It has the
obvious
flood effect, has entire effect on the plains as well.
that come down from these Himalayas.
Himalayas,
So
it's
the whole
very serious matter, and people, we are
it's
so much
and
accustomed to
road
the
building,
material,
road
material
building,
desert.
road building, mining, and all this deforestation. There's so many things happening at the same time, and the mountains are no more. They are no more able to sustain such of pressures. Now they are saying that we are going to make a railway which will connect all these char dams or whatever we have.
Arda.
So that is not a very good idea. That you see, because when you build roads, you have to use dynamite.
And it will definitely has a acoustic as well as other effects immediately on the mountains destruction.
But
It's very sad note, sir, but let's hope the personalities like you who have worked so much to making people aware, we, I mean, at least look towards this, stop our material, this lust and obsession for the materialism. And we have a tragedy in India. We didn't have the planned cities. We our all cities are haphazard, and they are. It's all a cycle, sir. Probably it's all as a common man. I think it's all a cycle. Yeah,
unprotected.
interconnected. They are
Yes.
interconnected and everything. Sir, that was so great of you. I mean, we had a very brief glimpses of your knowledge, but certainly you are a great reservoir of knowledge, and
I think I
your
am still a student. I'm still learning. And
that's that is a word connected with the youthfulness. I mean, till the time you keep on thinking that you are a student, you
yeah,
remain young, you remain exploring.
I am learning every day.
So that's a
Something or
great pleasure, sir. You are a wonderful personality, and we
thank
are
you.
so much honored to have you with us. But before going, do you want to say something to our majority of the spectators are the diaspora across the globe? Do you want to say something? Anything you want to? I mean, one liner, two liner, you want to tell to our?
We're proud of our diaspora. They have done very well. They are spread all over the world, and they have brought a name to us, to our community. We are very proud of them. But what I would like to tell them is, don't forget your roots.
Yes.
Remember, remember, we belong to Rishwar, Kashmir, and that Rishwar is still ours. And we have to preserve it. Go there regularly. If you don't go so often, if you don't go, you can't go there so
Once
often.
in
But
a while.
do visit once in a while and show your children also your roots. I took my wife. She had not seen my Zanvermal house, and I had not
Okay.
seen her Safagadal house, her ancestral
Okay.
house. So I took her there, and that house is still there. It must have changed so many hands, but we went there. We have two
You have
houses,
your
one
memories.
in-house
Yeah.
and outhouse. Outhouse they have changed. Then baat mein I told that landlady. She was happy. We went up. We saw all those rooms. The room where I was also born. I told her that this my uncle was a very well known person. His name was Lal Kaul. She said, "Oh, Lal Kaul." She went inside. Our electrical bill is still in his name. She went in and brought it the electric bill and showed me.
Bill.
So that my uncle Lal Kaul died in the year 1937.
My goodness.
38.
Those people never used
And
to change the names.
the
Yeah.
electric bill is still in his name. So that's what I want to tell the diaspora. Don't forget, our roots are still there. Our names live
Indeed.
there.
Indeed,
Our
that's a great
temples,
message. That's
our
a great
temple.
message. And our Shitalat conversation is also a step
Yes, it
towards
is.
in this
It is.
direction. In this direction. Thank you very much, sir. It was a great pleasure. We are so much honored, enriched. A lot of information has gone into our heads, and I think this we have enjoyed. I have enjoyed this program, and I think everybody among the diaspora must have enjoyed it. You can all. So nice of you. I'm so
Thank
grateful that you visited. I'm so
you.
honored. Thanks a lot. Best wishes, good health, and good life. Best of all.
Thank you. God bless.
So that was the eminent educationist, the author and the great environmentalist, Professor B.L. Kaul Sahab. I think his enriching words, his brief about flora and fauna, about degradation, about the reminiscence of the past in Kashmir, about all these anecdotes must have glued you and made you very happy, made you very, profounded with your knowledge and understanding of what Kashmir was all about, and what are the challenges we are facing in the contemporary times. So it was a great lecture. I'm really thankful that he visited. It was magnanimity. And with that, we end today's show. I'm really grateful to all of you being the dedicated and loving this program, and being a dedicated, the spectators of this program. So that's all for today. Next week, we meet again with another great personality. Till then, goodbye. Thanks a lot. Best wishes.